Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brand Architect podcast. Again, as always, live streamed on LinkedIn and Facebook profiles of mine. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Let's see who's gonna be the guest today. So today I'm talking to Felix Sander. Welcome, Felix.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Okay, so Felix, how did we meet? Let me just recall. It was on LinkedIn initially, but I think it was through Epix.
Yeah.
Or was it through your community? Or I just don't remember exactly. I remember that we connected because I was having a webinar coming up. Right. And that was kind of the first time we spoke together on LinkedIn. So yeah, another connection on social media. So social media actually.
I have to add one little story because I think you're doing it very well. You're putting together these little content pieces about what crypto projects should or shouldn't do. And I think I knew you from Epix and I knew you from steemit before, but when I saw on LinkedIn that you put up these nice I think it was typical stuff that makes me cringe when crypto entrepreneurs or companies say that stuff. And I found it so funny. Yeah. I shared it with the whole team. And I think from that on, I was contacting you.
Okay, nice. So just for reference for everyone who's watching or listening, actually, yes, when you put out content that somehow resonates with people and kind of, is something that people really have certain emotions or feelings around it, they feel compelled to share it with others. So if you want more people to consume your content, and if you want your content to actually have some kind of effect, just try to find the topics that are relevant to the audience and the type of people that you're trying to reach. So yeah, thanks for reminding me that. And yeah, let's dive into the conversation. But before that, can you tell how did you end up in marketing? I mean, was it a choice? Was it an accident? How did you ended up becoming a marketing professional?
Sure. To keep the story a little bit short, so I started as a dancer when I was really young, when I was 16, 17 years old, and I did a lot of shows and I did a lot of events. So I kind of were drawn into event marketing and event management to promote the shows that we were doing or to promote the next tour that we were doing. And from that point on, of course, you have to do event marketing. And at the same point, while I was dancing, I was also studying marketing at the university. And so I always had a little practice, while I was studying the theory, I could immediately put it into practice and see what would work and what wouldn't. So that was really great. And from that point on, I just went on to online marketing, to e-commerce, to managing shop systems and all that stuff until I finally did a few apps, where I did the app marketing. And from that point on, I got really interested in blockchain a few years ago, found out about steemit, found out about the whole economy behind it, and got drawn to it. And from that point on, it was Epix and blockchain marketing for the last 3.5 years now.
Okay, nice, interesting. You mentioned steemit. I always tell this story that basically steemit was the thing that brought me into blockchain. So I ended up getting into blockchain completely accidentally. I was online content creator, I was fiction writer, and to me, anything really technological related was never part of my career. So I worked for different international brands, but not tech brands. So when I got into steemit, I got it from the content creator perspective, right? And then I got into this rabbit hole of the whole cryptocurrency route. Since we mentioned steemit, I think there are two things that we should kind of, set up the environment for people who don't know about this and kind of so they know what we're talking about. So steemit was the first social media network that actually realized that instead of us participating on social networks where the brands behind those networks are actually benefiting and making money thanks to our engagement and are monetizing our data and doing all this stuff that I'm sure you have heard about Facebook doing. Steemit basically created a social network where content creators were rewarded cryptocurrency and where all these likes were actually representing money that the content creators were getting. So basically, the better content you create, the more money you make, the more cryptocurrency you make, which can easily turn into real money later on. So you can see real benefits of participating and bringing value to the network. So that's kind of the first thing of the steemit platform. I feel like maybe because the model was different, the steemit community was different as well. So I felt like, I don't know about your experience, but there wasn't really so much toxic stuff going on. There wasn't so much negativity. And people were way more friendly, less criticizing, and the environment overall was quite positive. Would you agree about this?
Yes, when I first joined in, I think it was 2017 or something, yeah, I did my first post and I was overwhelmed by the community support. You know, when you do this, my introduction or introduce yourself, the hashtag, if you use that one, a lot of people will welcome you to the community, and that was amazing. But after a while, you realize that oh, I think I'm alone in the show now. Now, I don't know. Is that right?
No worries. Sorry, hey. I'm back. Sorry about that.
No
I changed it. Yeah, I mentioned before we started, I had a little bit of internet connection problems and you were cutting off. So I was feeling like I wouldn't really hear you well. So I'm on my data at the moment and I can hear you way better. So now it will work way better, hopefully. So sorry about that. It was very hard to have a conversation where I couldn't hear half of what you were saying. So
yeah, I would say
no worries. No worries. It was yeah, my connection problem. Go ahead, continue.
So, yeah, the first impression was really, really good when you do your first introductory post on steemit, and when you do maybe a few follow-up steps and engage with the community. It was really cool to see how a community could regulate itself, and just the idea of doing this. But what we always felt, and what we were telling steemit and a lot of other people in the crypto space, is that the marketing wasn't at its peak. You know, the user interface was way too old, to say at least, and the way how to post your blog content and stuff was so complicated with the HTML part and all that, which isn't that.
And there was no messaging. Like I couldn't message a certain user I wanted to talk to.
Exactly.
So that was another thing that was kind of weird, but yeah.
So there were a lot of good things, but also a lot of things that could have been improved from the beginning, or, you know, could have been improved during the process, but nothing really changed. And so we decided to take matter into our own hands and just to come up with a cool app that is way more user-friendly, that is way easier to use, where you don't have to know the HTML part, where you don't have to like do it in a web browser, because most people nowadays, they use their phones, you know, and so especially when you target the younger people, and you know, the generation, the X, Y, and Z, so you have to think about a cool approach for them, so it makes more fun, so it's more gamification, and yeah, that's what we did, coming from steemit in the end.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Yes, I mean, the story of the steemit it has even like more interesting continuation, because I even wrote an article about this. I think the story of steemit sort of shows the power of the community, because I always say that the communities, online communities of all these B2C platforms are extremely important, and they will either make or break your project. And the thing with the communities is they are very emotional and very dedicated, but if something goes wrong, they are, as much as they loved you before, with the same force, they will hate you later on. So there's
very quickly. You're absolutely right.
And very quickly, yeah. So what happened with steemit at one point, for those who don't know the story, steemit was bought by Justin Sun, who's not. Whose personal brand is not very positive, let's say. I will refrain from going further than that, but the community didn't like it. The community didn't like the fact that their platform was owned by a person they didn't really resonate with, and they had completely different value system with. So what they did was they forked the whole blockchain, and they created Hive. And all of them together moved to use Hive, and just ditched and abandoned the steemit platform. So so that kind of shows that the power of the social networks are at the user's hands. So when people complain about Facebook, you always have a choice. If the choice is not made, or the choice is made and people continue to use it, then there's nothing to complain about, because it's possible to abandon any kind of platform at the moment, because the choices are very, very different, right? So
one thing maybe I would like to add to this is that we still see a clear pattern of whales who dominate the space. When you go to Steam, it was the case. You had to have whales in your back pocket, or at least in your favor, to have any amount of success on this platform. And the same thing goes for Hive now, I guess. And what we're seeing on both platforms, what you just described, is that some content creators who were loved in the beginning, because they joined the platform and were promoting it, getting a big shitstorm once they speak up against the platform and criticize it for anything, like simple things. And so I think this is really an important point that you make, that even though it is decentralized, it is still kind of governed by a handful of people that have the most power. And of course, the community votes for them. But I think there's still improvement to be made. This is just what I wanted to add to that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always a way beyond what's there. And I still kind of, realize that it's relatively new field, relatively new kind of setup. So all these older legacies, social media networks have been around for ages, so they did have so much time to get more insights, to get more data, to get more user experiences and more feedback. So absolutely. So Felix was talking about their app, which is if I have to put it into normal people's kind of language, to me, it's basically probably a new version of Instagram, where users are actually rewarded. So all these likes are actually turning into cryptocurrency, which later on turns into money. So you have this direct link between how many people like your stuff and how much money you're making. That's kind of the simplified version for non-crypto people to understand what it is. Because it does, from all the other social networks out there, Instagram seems to be the closest in terms of image and what it looks like. So go ahead and tell your version of it.
Yes. So what we're trying to do is make social media social again, kind of like that is our claim. We see the potential in social media. We see a huge amount of content creators around the world who are really putting their heart into social media by posting on Instagram, on YouTube, and these platforms are making it harder and harder and harder. So our approach is always to put the community first. We have bunch of programs just designed to support new users, to support new content creators. For example, we have big support accounts just for newcomers. We have the influencers that we choose. They get equipped with a delegation, and their mission is to find new talents in their niche. So, for example, if we have a fashion influencer, his task is to find new talents in the fashion category and to reward them with an upload. And of course, they become trending, and now they get more followers, and the whole thing starts turning. And the second thing is that we really put a big focus on a thing that is called purpose-driven campaigns. And it's about we have a discovery page, as you might have noticed, and it has a little brand section. We don't put any advertisement in the feed of the user or in any other part of the platform. This is just one extra part where if the user chooses to discover new stuff in this category, he can go to this direction, and he will find a few brands that do good actually with crypto. So our first goal is always to find a brand, to find an influencer, and to find a good cause, for example, a charity, a cultural program, or whatever else, and education too. And we form a campaign, and the money that is being collected through Epics is donated to the cause. And so this is one of our next big focus, because we want to have good stories. We want to create good PR for crypto in general. And to make that happen, you have to have success stories like steemit did in the beginning. I was amazed by what they could do. You know, there were stories of people from Ghana, and he didn't have electricity or a home and running water, and he posted on steemit, and the community made it happen, so he could finally have all that. Or like a cancer operation and stuff. So I really believe in the power of the community in Epics, and we put a big priority on that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You mentioned two things that I would like to dive more into. One is influencers and influencer marketing, because that is something that is very advanced at the moment on other platforms, and there are many people who are actually making loads of money by being influencers and having big followers. But also there are loads of stories where, as marketing people, we both know that there are so many ways to trick the system and get like all these numbers that are not real numbers, right? There are loads of different things to leave the impression we want to leave. So have you addressed that on Epics? Like, how do you to make sure that these kind of manipulations are that the influencer is a real influencer and not just a fake one?
Yeah, so what I really like about the community so far is that the people who are most successful on Epics are the ones who actually engage with the community. So we tried a few others. We tried the regular influencer who just posts, like, let's say once a week or every 2 or 3 days on his Instagram account, and he gets 1 million likes anyway. Doesn't matter what he posts, more or less. But on Epics, it's different. It's really in clear correlation to how much you engage with your community. So if you answer comments, if you write back, if you have a real interest in other people's work. And I feel that the influencers that we have right now, for example, we have a few artists, musicians, we have a few dancers, we have a few painters and stuff like that. So the ones that we have, you actually feel connected with them again. So the thing that we wanted to have back then with social media, that you actually exchange personal moments and interactions, is coming back in the system right now, because you don't get much rewarded if you don't show your heart to the platform, if you're not honest, if you don't believe in the whole thing for real, if you just want to make money, people will help. I think they will help.
That's really good point. Actually, for all new platforms, obviously, it's always easier and nicer when you get on a platform at a relatively early stage, because that's when you have higher chances for visibility, right? Yeah. And there is less competition. It's easier probably to stand out and all that stuff. But nevertheless, no matter where and when, people still have this issue and challenge of being visible. Like, you get on a platform, you do post your stuff, but how does the visibility and discoverabilities part work out? Because some people are not, are not so loud. They are not so, some of them are quite humble, but they also produce very good quality content. So how is it managed?
So we have two systems. We have the influencers that I mentioned that are treated as category directors. That is how we call them. So they're like the director of a category, and we have many of them who have a delegation, and they look for new talent, of course. But then we also have over 100 ambassadors in over 20 countries all around the world, and they are so dedicated. Like, they're actually our backbone right now, because they welcome the users. They show them the ropes, like they show them where to go, how to post. And this is the best part. They even make up own challenges. So what we always do on Epics is we have, for example, we have the smiley challenge, where you have to like post different versions of a smile. It can be in black, white, it can be with a kid, it can be you as a kid. So we had a hashtag Kids of Epics, for example, where everyone can contribute, because everyone was a kid once, So you post a cute picture of yourself when you were a kid, and you get huge engagement just because you use this one hashtag. So what we try to promote is like this gamification of social media. You don't have to be this shiny person, You don't have to like always take selfies of yourself in a mirror. We actually rather prefer the people who put a lot of thought into the work and post it on Epics and share their thought, so you can actually follow it, and understand it very well. So yeah, this is like, these are the two things that I think that really help the community to grow when they start with us.
Okay, makes sense. Community, very interesting, because being from the blockchain space at the moment, working at blockchain marketing, the hardest thing as a blockchain brand, B2C brand, is actually growing and maintaining a healthy community, right? Like a genuine one. I'm not talking about all these, fake users, all these kind of bounty hunters, all the stuff that is not relevant. Like real, genuine community of people who really want to use your app, right? So my experience with app, I had discovered Epics through an ambassador, through the person I knew from steemit. So I was just testing it out. But I realized how strong the community was, not by using and testing it out, but rather that time when I had my webinar, your community guys completely hijacked my my comment video.
You told me, right? I remember.
Yeah, so they were really talking about how much did the app ticked all the things that I was telling that the healthy tech startup should follow, how they should market, and how they should go about user acquisition and everything else, right? So you could feel like genuine brand ambassadors who are so excited about the project that they go out there on different other platforms and actually try to share the word about it, right? And I'm absolutely certain that it was just an accidental thing. I'm sure they were not promoted to do so and stuff like that, right? So
no.
I know, but how do you get to that level? Because that's kind of the ideal kind of level of the quality of the relationship with your audience and the type of audience that you want to attract before you launch your app. So where did you start and how did you grow it?
So you mentioned the beginning of it was actually the Bounty Hunter program and the ICO, of course, back then. So when the community started, and we didn't start from zero because we were already kind of like, not myself, but for example, our CEO, Tony, and Uma, they were really famous on steemit already. So we had a small group of people who would really like believe in us just because they actually knew our founders very well. And from that point on, we just tried to keep it really, really personal and honest. To like, we never tried to keep information in the back. When we had something, when we knew something, we would tell them that at least our community, and at first our ambassadors, of course. And the second thing is, I think that just posting in your own app, does a great job. If you're actually one of the users that your community is engaging with, you're not just one of the guys who runs this app and who's like occasionally in the app and just posts, I don't know, whatever. We really try to engage with everyone and with the community, and especially with the ambassadors. So we have regular calls. We have Zoom sessions with them. We try to keep it very personal. And I think that is actually something that people appreciate. If they have a genuine feeling of knowing the founders of an app, it's much easier to believe in it and to actually put your heart into it too, because it's not something like, I don't know, in a different country, you don't even know the founder or the CMO, or you just have like an application form or whatever. So this is not enough, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, because transparency and showcasing the team and who are actually people behind it is always very beneficial, because it builds trust, it creates relationship, and it's something that that always brings this additional emotional kind of attachment to the brand, because it's always easier to create a relationship with a person than with a logo. I mean, logos never inspire by themselves, right? Unless there is an inspiring person behind the logo. So yeah, I mean, makes complete sense. I know that the app is still in beta, right? Yeah. It hasn't publicly launched yet.
This is amazing that we have people sticking with us for like 3 years now and still in beta. And we always say how thankful we are for that, because the only reason that we didn't launch yet is actually not related to the beta. It's related to the SMT that didn't happen back then, and to the fact that we were planning on having a massive onboarding. So we have influencers prepared. I don't know if you've seen this, for example. We have a Netflix documentary coming out right now. It's the #1 documentary on Netflix right now, with Darren and Zac Efron. And Darren is actually a team member. So he's responsible for our strategic alliances in the US, and he's part of the documentary as well. So yeah, we have this huge amount of followers that we could onboard, but we didn't. We chose not to, because it would just cost us a lot of followers or users, because they cannot onboard and they have to wait for 2 weeks to get their steemit account and whatever else. So this was just too complicated and not fit for the mainstream. But now we have the solution, and now it's all gonna happen. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. So a question to you. I'm always saying that it's very challenging to sort of launch a B2C social, a kind of, a social network platform where you have two sides of the stories, right? You kind of, you have to get traction from the very beginning, because very often people are already on different networks. Like I'm already on many, and so with some of them I can't even keep track. So it's kind of almost a dead account just sitting there somewhere. But not only it's kind of yet another thing that you have to start with, which is not always a preference for many people, because they think they have too many platforms already. Yeah. But also when you go there, you feel like, you would actually want some people that you already know to be on the platform. So like being the first one from people around you to get there is not always very comfortable. So it's always hard to bring in like traction straight away. So how are you tackling that problem? Like, what would you advise to people who are creating something where they do need people to make choices, but nevertheless just decide to join it? Like, what is it going to be the attraction point where people would like actually to join nevertheless? Because they may say, they may think, okay, I have Instagram already, right?
Of course, yes.
Theoretically.
Well, you really have to know the pain points of your target audience, I guess. For us, the main target audience, even though we are B2C and we are made for the mainstream, our target audience are the content creators or the artists, so to say. Yeah. So for the people who are not getting paid enough, because they just don't know how to. They just don't know where to publish. They don't have the connections. They don't know about business or stuff like that. So being a dancer from a young age, and not just myself, but a lot of the team members are dancers and artists and painters and stuff like that. So they all know the pain points of an artist and a content creator in the world. And I feel that if you tackle a pain point like a good solution for them, if you offer that, people don't need all that, they don't need to think about, okay, why should I add another social media? Yeah, because it's maybe the only social media that will work for your kind of art, because in Epic,
and it's made for you. Yeah,
it's made for you, right? So Instagram is obviously not made for the artists, and so is Facebook and not even YouTube. It's become like a crazy show on most platforms. And yeah, we really put the focus on that. And also the charity part that I mentioned. I feel that there are a lot of people out there who want to do good, but they don't know how. They don't have the money. They don't have the attention or the time to actually help other people. And now with Epics, you can just give a vote. You can help other people by voting for them, and it's not even your money. So I feel that this is also, I know that a lot of others have tried, but for Epics, it's so easy. You just sign in, post a picture, and go through your feed, click upvote, and you feel like you've helped actually a lot of people.
Makes sense. So you're basically debunking this stereotype of starving artist, because that's what it is, right? Usually artists, many talented artists are not able to support themselves through their passion. So most of them are also very unhappy because they are forced to work full time somewhere else, and just to pay the bills. And usually I worked with loads of writers before, and usually the way they see this is they are forced to go to work for obvious reasons, but they also see this work being something that is in between themselves and their passion, because it's taking out time, taking out energy, and then they are not really having enough time and enough things around them to be able to produce the content that they want to produce, to create the art that they want to create. So I guess that this whole idea of passion economy and sort of monetizing your passion and monetizing your audience is basically something that is very popular these days and actually works. So
yes, and we put a great emphasis on choosing the right influencers from the beginning. So we will allow anyone in, of course, everyone is welcome, no question. But still, if we choose someone as a category director, we make sure that he actually wants to do good. So he's not just in for the money. He's not here to buy a new Ferrari with his first crypto money or whatever. He's here to help something or a good cause. And
so how do you choose them? Like, do you just observe and then notice people, or is there any kind of application? Like, how does one become an influencer on your platform?
Well, of course, we're really observant with the market, like who's changing direction, who's speaking up in interviews about like the inequality of social media and of, in general, the money system. Of course, these are all good candidates, but all the guys that we chose for the launch in September now are actually guys that we've met. So we went to Los Angeles. We spent about 6 months as a team in Los Angeles and sat down with a lot of guys. We're really lucky that we have an incredible team member named Paul Ring in our team. He has been with Universal Music for the last 30 years, and he knows a lot of guys in Hollywood. And so once we sit down and you can actually talk to someone, it's much easier to find out the true intentions from my first perspective, because they can play nice, they can like pretend, but at some point their mask is going to fall, and if it's not falling, we know for sure, and then we can do all that we want. But bad press would be one of the worst things that I can imagine. for crypto now, because it's already that bad. And with Bitcoin and all that stuff in the mainstream.
Yeah. That's actually exactly why I always prefer when I'm following people to watch their live streams versus post-produced videos. Because that's where you can't really fake it. It's the next best thing to in-person meeting, right? Because it's a live stream, anything happens. Like I disappeared for a few minutes here, and I mean you can't really fake it. You can't play a role for 45 minutes. You just
right.
I mean, the only way to do this is being yourself.
It's way more authentic too. Yes, and I agree. And I think that the target group that we have right now with the blockchain space is way more skeptical about this. I would say blockbuster Hollywood kind of style, where you like make it make it look clean, polish it up, and all that stuff. I don't think that people are that interested in that anymore. When I look at what we're seeing online and stuff.
I mean, the other thing is, because many people have discovered that authenticity and genuine approach works, I came up with this new term, and I call this fake authenticity, where people understanding that authenticity is the next thing and it works, they fake being authentic. And then they start coming up with this very personal, very emotional kind of, status updates and, things like that, which are actually not so true, but they know that this is what's working on the emotional level, right? Yeah. So that's another kind of trend, another extreme where fake people actually realize what's worth faking these days.
Yes.
So, so even that works.
For what you said before about the crypto projects, I think that a lot of people in the crypto space, they pretend to come for the right reasons, but they're not here for cooperation. They're not here to actually solve a problem. A lot of these projects are here to make money of it, and I don't think that this is a long-term strategy in blockchain, because, well, it might be, it could of course work, but I think it's much better to actually solve a problem and make that your first priority.
Yeah.
And
no, I agree with you. It's not a long-term strategy, but then those type of projects are not intending to be around for long-term anyway. Right. So for them, it's just a one-shot thing to just grab the money and leave, right? So they don't really need a long-term strategy, and it's not sustainable.
But this might be one of the 3 points that we make actually to create a good community, is also a spirit of cooperation. So what we always try to do is to seek out to other projects, to ask them to do like a cross promotion, to work together, to integrate our products in some way, or our tokens. And we had great success with that. For example, with ActiveFit, they also from Steam, and the community loved it, like a project that is actually interacting with each other on a personal level.
Because, because it's so rare,
Right, and we were taking part in the challenge ourselves. So we had like this Stay Fit challenge, or Get in Shape, was it, right? In the beginning of the year. And now we're working with a few other partners, and it's great, because when you meet the right partner who's actually here for the right things too, for the community and to solve a problem, they're all ears. They're like, yes, finally, a project that wants to work with us and is for cooperation. And I feel that this is also being appreciated by the community.
Oh yeah, because it's rare, it's genuine, and people feel it. So I totally get that. It completely makes sense. Okay, so if we would need to wrap it up, I mean, we spoke about communities, we spoke about social media, about this transition of having new options of social media that is completely different and kind of puts the power in users' hands and also helps monetize passion. So what do you think the trend is going to be in the future? Like, are we going to move into these type of platforms more, or are the older existing platforms going to start modifying themselves? What is the future picture?
I think that we will see a big shift into a reward-based micro-influencer community for brands. I feel that that is truly the way to go. If you pay an influencer, a big one, you know, the product will stay successful as long as the influencer is loyal to you, or he's being paid, or whatever, as you might call it. But the micro influencers, in like being the ambassadors, they will preserve, you know, and I think that combining it with blockchain now, by having a reward system, not just having epics, you know, with the upvoting and all that, but also like bounty programs, airdrops, all that kind of stuff. You can do so much for the community and reward them for actually being interested in your product. That that this is what I feel is way more successful. It's trackable. You can see the results, and you have clear overview of what you're spending and what you're getting as a brand. And you're building long-term relationships. So we built this called interface, called social mining. It's the idea that if you want to build a community in the crypto space or the startup space or a digital space in general, you will need to have a community. And a good way to go is definitely by blockchain, by using the benefits of blockchain and rewarding them and keeping them gamified, you know, and entertained and close to the project.
Yeah, completely makes sense. Well, I mean, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen in September. I know that now after this interview, I will feel sort of guilty not using it so much, so I will need to get back and engage a bit more than usual over there. And probably I will have to hook up with some of the ambassadors just to learn a few of the things, because I'm not very familiar of how all this works. So yeah, I'll definitely ping some of you guys just to figure out how to how to contribute more to the platform.
I'm sure they'd love to help you. They're really, really helpful. They love it. I'm sure they're watching now, and they're like, yes, I'm gonna help her.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll know where to go. I'll just get a few names from you and just connect. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you come over, and yeah, good luck with the launch. I've no doubt that it's gonna do really well, because you've got the most important thing, and you've done the hardest job from the perspective of community, and you already have people waiting for it. So I don't see why it wouldn't work. So yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you everyone for watching and listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please make sure you subscribe, you leave a review, and I'll meet you tomorrow with another interview. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.